Welcome back, everyone. Driven by curiosity, these three friends ventured into a strange ancient town where coffins floated down the river. The townsfolk were even more bizarre. Every one of them had pale white eyes, like walking corpses. It turned out they were all wandering souls lingering in the mortal world. The reason the three young men were not afraid was because one of them possessed an extremely powerful sacred sword. This sword was forged from ancient legend, born of the mortal realm's blazing volcanoes. It condensed immense fiery power and stood as the supreme sword of the celestial master Tao. The world called it the celestial master sword. Any being within the three realms who possessed this blade would become invincible, for there was nothing the sword could not destroy. The blade was used by the celestial master Tao to maintain order within the three realms. Many years later, the only son of the celestial master sect leader, Wang Xuan Zhi, was chosen as the next successor to inherit the sword, but no one expected that half of his bloodline belonged to the demonic path. Once the demonic nature awakened, its evil instincts would seize control of his body. Combined with the sword's extraordinary power, he could plunge the three realms into chaos, bringing slaughter upon humanity. Could Wang Xuan Zhi suppress the demonic force within himself, turn evil intent into righteousness and protect the mortal world? Let's join Luck's review and dive straight into the movie. After hundreds of years of imprisonment, the Demon King finally found a chance to be reborn. Though he had not fully returned to the world, the Demon King boldly challenged the Celestial Master Tao to a life-and-death battle. To prepare for this decisive war, the Supreme Elder of the Celestial Master Tao forged a peerless sword using a millennium volcano, naming it the Celestial Master Sword, and entrusted it to the then leader of the Celestial Master Tao, Sect Master Wang. Although the sword was not yet fully perfected, Sect Master Wang and over 100,000 disciples still marched bravely to confront the demonic realm. When the battle began, the ground suddenly split apart, swallowing countless lives. The Demon King's minions swarmed up from the depths of hell. Black and white forces clashed, casualties beyond count. The demons appeared slightly stronger than the Celestial Master Tao. Just as the sect was being overwhelmed, the Supreme Elder finally completed the forging of the Celestial Master Sword. Sect Master Wang drove the sacred blade firmly into the ground. Heavenly lightning immediately descended, striking the demonic horde. However, the Demon King managed to escape from the infernal flames. Fortunately, the demonic fetus within him had not fully awakened, leaving him unable to wield his full power. All Celestial Master disciples rushed forward to support Sect Master Wang. The sacred sword pierced the Demon King's eye. The demonic fetus of the Demon Queen turned to stone and vanished into smoke. Unexpectedly, its soul was so vicious that it reincarnated into the newborn child of Sect Master Wang. Madame Wang died from complications during childbirth, and Sect Master Wang, gravely wounded on the battlefield, also succumbed. In the war between humans and demons, the Celestial Master Tao emerged victorious, but the losses were immense, the greatest being the death of their sect master. Jiang Fengmu, originally the deputy sect master, seized the position of sect master without hesitation. He claimed that sect master Wang was dead, and the new sect master was still an infant, incapable of leading the sect. The deputy sect master resorted to any means necessary to secure his position as sect leader, eliminating all the former loyal disciples of sect master Wang. The remaining disciples were too terrified to speak and could only show absolute support. The man wearing a half-mask was the loyalist Wu Xiao, a man of unwavering righteousness. He could not accept that the deputy sect master secretly wiped out all the old confidants of the Celestial Master Tao. However, during yesterday's battle, when he was about to fall into the infernal flames, it was the deputy sect master who reached out and saved his life. To repay this debt of gratitude, he was forced to turn black into white and devote himself entirely to the deputy sect master. But the deputy sect master was deeply suspicious by nature. Trusting no one easily, he held Wu Xiao's mother's life in his hands, forcing him to become an absolutely loyal hound. However, before the deputy sect master could silence him forever, Cat Yunqing managed to escape from prison, risking his life to flee into the remote mountains with the newborn child and the sacred sword. 10 years after Cat Yunqing passed away, the child Wang Xuan Zhi he once carried away had grown up, becoming a strong and valiant warrior. The peerless sacred sword acknowledged him as its master, meaning only he could wield its power. By Wang Xuanji's side were his two close companions, Linger and Chu Dianqiu. They all knew that half of Xuanji's blood belonged to the demonic path. Once he reached adulthood, the demonic nature would awaken and harm others. So before it fully took control, it had to be suppressed. In Ghost Valley half-step lay the supreme heavenly scripture. Within it were methods to resolve demonic nature. This universe consists of three realms: humans, demons, and immortals. The junction between the three realms is known as the River of Oblivion region. Beyond the River of Oblivion lies Ghost Valley half-step. Therefore, if Xuanji's group wanted to obtain the ancient scripture, they had to pass through the River of Oblivion, which meant crossing the territory of their sworn enemy, the Deputy Sect Master. And from his residence, the Deputy Sect Master had already discovered their whereabouts through the time-space bronze mirror. Once Xuanji, the new sect master, returned, he would lose all legitimacy to sit on the sect leader's throne, and he was unwilling to accept that. So he ordered Wu Xiao to deal with Xuanji. He knew very well that Wu Xiao was no match for Xuanji and the Celestial Master Sword. Thus he tempted Wu Xiao to resort to forbidden demonic arts, violating heavenly laws, by exploiting the resentment of ghost spirits sealed within paintings and the souls of 100 innocent people, performing a sacrificial ritual to summon the power of the Demon King. Returning to Xuanji and his companions, companions. They arrived at the River of Oblivion. In this town, when people die, their coffins are left floating on the river for 7 days before burial, creating an extremely eerie scene. This River of Oblivion town also allows spirits still attached to the mortal world to remain here. They have not yet moved on, but they do not harm the living. However, their heavy aura caused Xuanji's sacred sword to react. Every time the sword glowed, Xuanji felt pain in his heart, because that was when the demonic nature within him began to stir. This was also when he was at his weakest. Linger supported Xuanji as they searched for a Taoist inn to rest. The owner of the inn was Ali, a woman of both talent and beauty. Her zither music attracted many travelers to stop and rest, while guiding the three friends to their rooms. The innkeeper Ali spoke as if she had known them for a long time. She deliberately told them that to cross the River of Oblivion and reach Ghost Sand, one could only take the single boat of the ferryman of death. And the ferryman only carries souls across the river. The living are not allowed passage, unless the person helps the ferryman fulfill an uncompleted wish from his human life. Despite the innkeeper's enthusiasm, Linger still felt deeply suspicious after returning to the room, because they never mentioned their intention to go to Ghost Valley. Yet the innkeeper already knew and even guided them there. It felt as if she were deliberately luring them into a trap. Sure enough, this innkeeper was far from simple. She did know Wuxia, but they did not seem close. Instead, Wuxia had a hold over her weakness, forcing her to lead the three of them to him. Meanwhile, after coaxing Xuanji into deep sleep, Linger took out the jade pendant left behind by her parents to remember them. As she drifted into sleep, a mysterious man suddenly appeared. In his hand was a jade pendant identical to hers. Xuanji sensed a stranger's presence and woke up, startling the man into fleeing. He immediately gave chase after the intruder, but somehow ended up at innkeeper Ali's bedside, making her think he was a pervert. Xuanji hurriedly explained that he had no such intentions. He was only chasing a man dressed in black. Ali assumed the man he mentioned was Wuxia and immediately denied it. However, Linger trusted Xuanji without question. When she went outside and encountered the man holding an identical jade pendant, she hurried after him. The two swiftly leapt out of the city. The moment they met, they drew their swords and began to fight. Seeing that it was not Wuxia, Ali chose to stand with the three companions. The mysterious man was clearly stronger than Linger, yet she refused to let Xuanji step in. She wanted to fight him herself and force him to reveal the origin of the jade pendant identical to hers. However, no matter how she fought, she could not remove the cloth covering his face. Unexpectedly, she decided to take a risky gamble. And she was right, the mysterious man did not want to hurt her. At this point, the man had no choice but to admit that this was merely an illusion of himself. His true body was in Ghost Valley. He was none other than Linger's father. He and his wife were waiting for their daughter on the other side of Ghost Valley. After saying this, the illusion dissipated. When Linger was born, her parents had suddenly vanished. They only left behind this jade pendant as proof. A few days ago, she suddenly received a letter saying her parents were trapped in Ghost Valley. Meanwhile, the demonic markings on Xuanji had spread to his wrist. Once they reached his chest and connected to his heart meridian, the Demon King would seize his body to reincarnate. When that happened, it would bring a catastrophic calamity upon the world. Linger wanted to go to Ghost Valley to find her parents. Xuanji needed to go there to obtain the ancient scripture to suppress his demonic nature. As for Chu Yan, he went along just for the excitement. Ali appeared to be a delicate woman, yet she dared to run a large Taoist inn in a place heavy with yin energy, proving she was anything but ordinary. Sure enough, she had created this Taoist inn from an illusion to lure the three of them here. Ali then recounted that in the past, there was a painting merchant in River of Oblivion town named Liang Ren. That night, a sudden heavy rain poured down on the town. Liang Ren ran into an abandoned temple to take shelter from the rain. No one knew when this temple had come to exist. Only that Liang Ren, as if guided by dark forces, discovered a narrow path leading into a mysterious cave. At the deepest part of the cave, he encountered a stone coffin. Normally timid by nature, no one knew where he found the courage to open the coffin lid. What met his eyes was a painting of an extraordinarily beautiful woman. Suddenly, a powerful gust of wind rose, and the woman appeared right behind him. She openly admitted that she was a spirit maiden sealed within the painting for over 1,000 years, and that meeting Liang Ren was a matter of fate. Helping her break the seal and escape was truly a miraculous bond of fate. The two fell in love at first sight. To repay his kindness, the girl followed Liang Ren and became his wife. From that moment on, every painting he created was of her. When she wished to use her powers to save people, Wuxia stopped her. He believed that within the cycle of reincarnation of the three realms, humans and spirits were not meant to be together. As a Taoist, it was his duty to maintain this natural order, but the spirit maiden refused to obey him. A few days later, Liang Ren went to buy a hairpin as a token of love to marry her. Unexpectedly, Wuxia came looking for him. He threatened Liang Ren, saying that if he did not leave the spirit maiden, he would strike her into oblivion. Upon returning, Liang Ren had no choice but to seek marriage with his childhood sweetheart. He believed this was the only way to make the spirit maiden give up on him. However, he stubbornly kept the hairpin as their token of love, refusing to give it to the other girl. Watching the man she loved marry another woman, the spirit maiden, heartbroken, turned into a demon and stormed the wedding. Liang Ren ignored her and would not even look back at her once. Believing that Liang Ren had betrayed her, the spirit maiden lashed out in fury and injured his wife. When Wuxia drew his sword, he was instead pinned tightly against the wall by the spirit maiden. This Wuxia served evil forces yet constantly preached about reincarnation and order in the three realms. Taking advantage of the moment when Liangxing declared that he never loved her, leaving the spirit maiden heartbroken and vulnerable, Wuxia seized the chance to draw his sword and grievously wound her. Only then did Liangxing realize he had been deceived by Wuxia. Yet no matter what, that bastard still refused to spare his spirit maiden. Before Liangxing could give her the token of love, Wuxia pulled her back into the painting and sealed her once again. Liangxing possessed no spiritual power, so despite his overwhelming grief, he could do nothing to stop Wuxia. He went to the banks of the river of oblivion, and chose to become the god of death in place of the ferryman, allowing the old man to be reincarnated. Liangxing accepted centuries of loneliness, hoping only to remain in this river of oblivion town and see the spirit maiden once more. As for innkeeper Ali, she was the childhood sweetheart whom Liangxing never loved, yet she still agreed to marry him. Driven by a single word, love, she stayed behind in River of Oblivion Town, waiting for someone who could rescue the spirit maiden and reunite her with Liangxing, so that he could finally be released. Loving someone is easy, but once love has begun and fate has run its course, letting go becomes incredibly difficult. Early the next morning, Ali led the three of them to the abandoned temple, hoping to find the spirit maiden's painting. The cave entrance was still there, but only now did they realize how treacherous the path was, revealing how arduous Liangxing's journey had been in his search for the spirit maiden. Once they entered, all four were shocked by the tragic past of the spirit maiden. Tens of thousands of years ago, the ancient Tiangu kingdom worshipped the flame sect. They frequently cast living people into the sacred fire, offering sacrifices for 1,000 years to the flame god. The spirit maiden was unfortunate enough to become one of the sacrifices. At the brink of life and death, she struggled desperately to reclaim her life, causing the fire platform to collapse and burn the cultists alive. To punish her, their disciples sealed her inside the painting, condemning her to 1,000 years of solitude, until she was finally found and rescued by Liangxing. Two souls bound by destiny were cruelly torn apart by Wuxia. After imprisoning the spirit maiden inside the painting once more, Wuxia followed the vice sect leader's orders and performed forbidden dark arts. He spread rumors that gold was hidden inside the cave, successfully luring 100 impoverished people to the site. He then imprisoned them in 3 cages and drained all their life energy. Afterward, he infused all of it into the spirit maiden's painting. This was the soul communion technique, using human life force to awaken the spirit maiden and seize her power without releasing her. Returning to Xuanzhi and the others, they were still reeling from the spirit maiden's tragic past when suddenly the heavens and earth began to tremble. A horde of dark demonic soldiers appeared and charged straight at them. These creatures were like zombies, impossible to kill even when stabbed, forcing everyone to flee. Ali and Lin Ni ran across the bridge first. When they reached the broken section of the bridge, Lin Ni risked her life and leapt to the opposite side, then threw a rope back to Ali to reconnect the bridge. The 2 remaining men stayed behind to face the demonic creatures from hell. They were numerous and stubbornly resilient, making them extremely difficult to defeat. One managed to reach the bridge and advance toward the 2 girls, and Xuanzhi rushed over to help. Ali also struck fiercely from behind, stabbing it repeatedly before throwing it off the bridge. Unexpectedly, it dragged her down with it. Xuanzhi grabbed her arm, but she was still stabbed by the demon. She struggled to hand Liangxing's love hairpin to Xuanzhi before falling into the abyss of the River of Oblivion. As the demonic horde continued to overwhelm them, Xuanzhi dragged one demon with him and leapt into the abyss. He used his own blood to slash the sword, awakening the demonic power within himself. In an instant, he transformed into a demon king. Overflowing with dark energy and bloodlust, he sought to kill not only the enemy but even his own allies. Fortunately, Lin Ni managed to awaken his consciousness in time. When Xuanzhi regained his senses, he felt overwhelming guilt, knowing that by borrowing dark power, the demonic corruption was spreading across his chest. Yet Lin Ni remained optimistic, believing they would soon reach Ghost Valley. Xuanzhi agreed on the surface, but after Lin Ni and Chu Yan fell asleep, he went alone to confront Wuxia. Having absorbed the spirit maiden's power and resentment, Wuxia was now as strong as Xuanzhi and extremely confident. Wuxia knew that his mother was being held in a secret prison by the vice sect leader, suffering torment day after day. But aside from continuing to serve the vice sect leader like a dog to keep his mother alive, Wuxia could do nothing else. Claiming that his mother was his weakness, in truth he was simply a coward. Before, one could excuse it, but now that he was this powerful, he still dared not return to save her. Instead, he continued obeying orders to eliminate Xuanzhi. As for Xuanzhi, he always had companions by his side. Lin Ni and Chu Yan understood Xuanzhi well and had already followed him here to provide support. 3 against 1, even if not dead, Wuxia was bound to be crippled, and he was defeated. He decided that if so, everyone would die together. He chose to sacrifice himself to resurrect the spirit maiden. Xuanzhi and Chu Yan tried to suppress the spirit maiden with their power, but Lin Ni refused to take part. Because if the spirit maiden disappeared, there would be nothing left to bargain with the ferryman. In the end, the spirit maiden was released from the painting, already immensely powerful, now further empowered by towering resentment and the strength transferred by Wuxia. She had truly become the strongest being under heaven, unmatched by anyone. Yet she was stopped by the hairpin raised in Lin Ni's hand. Countless joyful memories with Liangxing flooded her mind like scenes from a film. However, her pain had long since turned her into a demon devoid of human emotion. Xuanzhi was forced once again to use his blood to awaken the demon king in order to gain the power to fight the spirit maiden. 2 immense forces collided, shattering everything, sending all things crashing into the River of Oblivion. The spirit maiden attempted to continue destroying Xuanzhi and the others. At that very moment, the ferryman docked. Upon seeing the one he loved, Liangxing instantly returned returned to his original form. After 1,000 years of endless waiting, they were finally reunited once more. It turned out the spirit maiden had never forgotten him, nor had she ever hated him. She was just like him. One day trapped within a painting felt like hundreds of years in the mortal world. One day drifting upon the river of oblivion felt like 1,000 years in the realm of the living. The hairpin in Lin Ni's hand had somehow flown back to Liang Sheng. He pinned it into the spirit maiden's hair, finally able to formally propose to her. To thank the three of Xuanzhi for helping a 1,000-year-old love finally reunite, Liang Sheng ferried the three of them across the river to Ghost Valley. Whether Xuanzhi can find the ancient tome to extinguish the inner demon within him, and whether Lin Ni can reunite with her parents. No matter what, the journey ahead is sure to be full of thrills. Meanwhile, the vice sect leader of the Heavenly Master sect witnessed everything through the bronze mirror. He will certainly not allow Xuanzhi to grow strong enough to confront him. The director chose an open ending, leaving us eagerly awaiting part 2. And waiting is happiness, isn't it, brothers? If in your life you meet someone who makes you willing to spend time and effort to win their heart, someone who makes you invest in yourself to become worthy of them, then congratulations, you've met the right person. Loving the right person means that we grow better day by day. Never lose someone over a moment of impulsiveness. Today's movie review ends here. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch more. Goodbye and see you again, everyone.